next presenter is Tom Conzemius. Tom will share Quincy Park District Fitness Trail Planning. Tom's mentor is Dr. Dana Walker. Tom, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Tom Conzemius. Today I'm going to be sharing the plans for the Quincy QR Fitness Trail. I had the opportunity to get introduced to this project over the summer with my internship with the Quincy Park District. I was working with the director of marketing over there and another student at Illinois College, and this is kind of what we came up with. So to start, what is a QR fitness trail? So obviously it's a trail, you do fitness on it, but along the trail there's stations and there's a big sign. You scan it with a QR code, and then the QR code will send you to a website and it'll give you a couple exercises to do while you're at that station. So in Quincy, the plan is to have the trail on Bill Klinger Bike Trail. It's going to have 6 stations. Each station is going to be about 3 minutes of exercise, and you can start and end wherever you like. So in total, it's going to be 2.8 miles down and back around the trail. So this is an example of a sign. So up on the left there, you have Station 1. If you want a map of the entire trail, it's on the bottom, the little QR code, and then the big QR code on the right there is going to be what you actually scan to do the exercises. So when we started this project, these are the major questions that I had. So the big ones were how many people can use the trail at one time comfortably? And the other one is how big does each station need to have everybody on it so there's no holdups? So this is the data that I got from the Park District. This is just a graph of it. But they were nice enough to send me data from last year, every day, how many people were on the trail. So this is kind of what I used as the basis of my project. So to start, we needed to find out how many people can use the trail comfortably. So I created a risk table here. So green is good, red is bad. Red means that there's a lot of people on the trail. So what I did to make that is I took the peak users. So whatever day last year had the most users, I had 1,305. So I had that as 100% of the peak. And then I did the median, the mean, and the mode users. So on average, there were 342 people using the bike trail. And the most often, there's 53 people on the trail on any given day. So based on this, I think that the appropriate number to plan for is 653. If you can see there right there, it's the orange square. So it's a good portion of the peak, so it's about 50% of the peak. And not everybody's going to be using the fitness trail as opposed to just the trail. So you can have people walking, biking, doing whatever, and then off to the side on the stations, you'll also have the people using each station. So how many people can be at a station? So based on the number 653, I kind of created a flow model. So this is an example of a flow model. It's kind of how people move throughout the trail. So this is just an example. It's kind of part of the entire flow model that I made. So this is an example of someone who started at 1, ended at 6, and then went to the exit. So you go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, so on until you get done. So this is the full flow model. So the whole flow model has nodes, which are just the stations. So there's 6 stations, and the exit, because they have to go somewhere after station 6. Capacity is how much or how many people can be at one station. So based on that, I kind of eyeballed how the stations look right now, how many people I think that we can hold at each station comfortably. So that's 22 in the blue up there. People is the yellow column. That's how many people will be using the stations at one time. So there's room for 3 extra people, so there's plenty of room for everybody. And then max flow over there on the far right, it says max flow 660. That's how many people can actually use the trail based on 22 capacity at each station. So if you notice on station 2 up at net flow, something I found that was really interesting actually is the net flow for Station 2 is actually 0. So the reason for this is because you need a buffer to make sure people aren't getting backed up at each station. So it's kind of like an amusement park where you go to the first rides that are there, and then the rides that are a little further away, they don't get as many people right off the bat, so there's a little bit of a buffer. And I just thought that was really interesting. So this is kind of the full flow model, kind of an example. So if you start at 1, you can go to 6, and then the exit, you can start at 2, end at 1, start at 3, end at 2, but ultimately you're all going to go to the exit. But that's just kind of a visual of how the flow model actually works. So these are my findings based on the data and the analysis that I ran. So I believe that 653 is an appropriate amount of people to plan on for the fitness trail. Like I said, it's 50% of the peak users. So last year there were 1,305 people at the peak. So that's a little bit, that's 50% of the peak. It's well over the average. So on any given day, it's the average amount of people is 342. So you have plenty of room for the average day. And again, not everybody's going to be using the fitness side of the fitness trail. People can still use the bike trail as a bike trail, or roller skating, skateboarding, that kind of thing. And then based on my max flow model, the amount of people that can use the fitness trail at once is 660. That's based on having 22 people at each station, and then 19 people will be using it. So there's 3 extra. But in my opinion, I believe that each station needs to be big enough to hold 22 people to plan on making this bike trail. And that's it. Any questions?
So I know not all bike paths and trails are paved or flat. So for each station to have people do their exercise, would there be like a flat, like concrete area or like some type of area that will hold the 19 to 22 people?
Yeah, so as of right now, it's early stages of planning, so nothing's paved yet. We just kind of we went and walked the trail and put cones on pieces of grass that are big enough to hold an amount of people. We didn't really know at that time. So no, right now it's not paved. I'm not sure if they're planning on paving it. I think that the grass would do just fine because most of the exercises that we were talking about were push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks. It's nothing crazy. So you don't need a flat surface to do mountain climbers, for example.
Would you like to explain how you got the count of from the park district, how they actually gathered that data?
Yeah, so the way that they got that data, here, I'll go back to that slide. So this data is from sensors they have actually on the trail. So every time I know they had one there's a bridge on the bike trail. So every time someone would cross the bridge, it would tick. It didn't actually tick, but it would count one person. So they had a bunch of those throughout the trail. So that's how they got their numbers.
So I'm going to kind of steal your thunder a little bit. One of the reasons you do this is that you want to avoid situations like they had in South Korea. When you have a special event and you have a lot of people that have free flowing, you can actually have dangerous situations. So this is not only for the planning, but you can also do it to make sure that you don't have issues at amusement parks, Renaissance fairs, trade shows, that sort of thing. So what's really nice is I like the fact that he's using real data to observe it, and he'll be able to go back and measure this flow after they actually implement it.
So I know that of course that the whole, probably at least what seems to be the main part of the study is for safety, but what do you think other uses of this data could be used for?
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
What do you think? I know it's safety mainly, like what the data set that you've analyzed is, but what do you think other uses of this data set could be used for, like purposes?
Yeah, so as of now, it's just a bike trail on Bill Klinger, the bike trail, but they're planning on making another or more fitness trails, potentially on other bike trails in other parks, such as Mormon Park. I know they have a nice bike trail there. But yeah, as of now, it's just kind of mostly just being comfortable on the trail. That way, not everybody's, you don't have 50 people at one station and everybody's getting backed up.
Any other questions?